Okay, so that's how we determine cost of inventory. Okay, so how to determine cost of inventory means how much money you spend to buy your inventory. Based on the concept, how to get the numbers. Is 1 plus 2. Remember, what's 1? Purchase price. What's 2? Make it ready for sale. So how to determine your cost of inventory? How to determine the money you spend to buy your inventory is what? 1 plus 2. So remember 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2. So what's 1? Purchase price. What's 2? Make it ready for sale. Why? For example, hello, Annie. Can I ask you one question? Yes. Usually, where you spend the money to buy your clothes? Website, for example, okay? So if you decide to buy your clothes through the website, and if you look at which page, which web page, which store usually you buy your clothes, maybe Momo, okay? Momo. So you go to Momo to buy your clothes or buy your supplies. If I told you the selling price, if you want to buy, for example, if you want to buy the clothes from Momo, and here told you the selling price is 100. Okay? When you buy the clothes from the website, they told you the selling price 100. What else you had to pay? Shipping, right? They have to ship the clothes to your house. Then usually they will say what? If this time the amount above $1,000 is free shipping, right? So what if they told you the money you spent amount above 1,000, then it's free of shipping, 免运费。So what's the problem? If this time you spend the money, the amount below 1,000, you had to pay shipping fee is $50. Okay? So could you tell me, Annie, could you tell me, for this case, in order to buy the clothes you want, total amount you had to pay is how much? 150, right? Why is that? Because you spend 100 below $1,000. So what does it mean? In order to get your clothes, you still have to pay the shipping fee, $50. Okay? So how much money actually you paid in order to buy the t-shirt? 150. So did you find out? The actually money you spend is not 100. It's what? Plus $50 the shipping fee. So in order to get the t-shirt you want, you had to pay 150. So 150 is actually the money you spent to buy the t-shirt. Okay? So remember, when we determine the cost of inventory is what? Not only selling price, still you have to consider the shipping fee you had to pay. Okay? So based on this, when we want to know how much money you spent, this is your cost of inventory. So how to determine your cost of inventory is what? 100. That 100 we call it purchase price. And don't forget, you had to pay the second money. So what's the second money? Shipping fee. The second money shipping fee, we call it make it ready for sale. Okay? Any questions? So when we talk about how much money you spend, Christine, how much money you spend to buy the ticket to the 管院周舞会? 1 plus 2, okay? So what's 1? Purchase price. What's 2? Shipping fee. So what's shipping fee? Make it ready for sale. Any questions? So actually the money you spend is 1 plus 2, not only 1. No problem? It's quite important to get correct cost. Why? If you made a mistake to get the correct cost, you will make a mistake to compute your profit. Okay? So it's quite important to figure out how much money actually you spend to buy your inventory. So based on this, that's why here we told you. When we try to determine cost of inventory is 1 plus 2, okay? So for the 2, make it ready for sales, including what? Shipping fee, 运费. So freighting cost means shipping fee. Okay? Also, when you try to buy something, not only shipping fee, you still have to pay what? Tax. Have you paid the tax every day? Ivy, you're so busy and cold. So, Ivy, when you buy something, have you paid the tax? Every day, have you paid the tax? Yes. Why? When you go to the 7-Eleven to buy the drink, have you paid the tax? Yes. So every price you paid, including the tax, 5% already. So if you go to the 7-Eleven, you spend $10. $10 is after 1 plus 2. You should understand that. So you pay the sales tax to the government every time when you buy something, 5% tax. Okay? So the money we spend to buy the drink, the money you spend to buy your laptop, the money you spend to buy your car, the money you spend to buy your shoes is after 1 plus 2 actually. Okay? So this is how we determine part 1, cost of goods. cost of inventory. So we just finished part 1. How to determine your cost of inventory. No problem? So this is the example. So make it ready for sales means what? When you try to buy your t-shirt, you have to make it delivered to your house, right? So make it ready for sale means your house, your company. So 1 purchase price. Even though we spend 100 for your t-shirt, but the problem is the t-shirt is not at your house. So what should you do? You have to pay 2 is what? Shipping point and also 5% tax to the government. So only you paid shipping fee, for example, $50. And don't forget, you have to pay 5% tax to the government. 5% how much? $5. So how much money actually you pay? 100 plus 50 plus 5. So the total cost of inventory, the money you spend is how much? $100 plus 2. 2 is what? 50 and 5. So how much money you spend in order to buy the t-shirt and you can get the t-shirt? Should be $155. Okay, so that's how we determine the money we spend to buy the inventory, to make your inventory arrive your company, your house. Only you got your inventory, then you could sell it to customers later. Okay, any questions? No problem? Okay. So I use another case, the number I told you. So for example, in this case, if we assumed we want to buy the t-shirt for YDU, how many? I want to buy 10 t-shirts for YDU t-shirt. Each one, the selling price is $5, okay? So totally, how much money you have to spend for the t-shirt? 10 units, each one $5. So the purchase price totally should be $50 for 10 units, right? After you spend the money, you have to deliver the t-shirt to your house, right? So if we assume the shipping fee is $6, the sales tax is $4 totally. So how much money you spend to buy that 10 t-shirts? 1 plus 2, right? So what's 1? $50 purchase price. What's 2? 6 and 4. So 6 and 4 totally $10. So in order to buy that 10 t-shirts, you had to spend $60. Don't forget, $60 for 10 t-shirts, okay? So after you spend $60 for 10 t-shirts, don't forget, the t-shirts, we are going to sell it later to customers. So that should be your inventory. Inventory is your current assets, okay? So far, any questions? So that's how we determine 10 t-shirts for $60, 1 plus 2. No problem? Okay, so that's part 1. Right now, we want to talk about part 2. So what's part 2? After t-shirts, after we got the inventories, what's our purpose? we are going to sell it to customers. So let's go to our part 2, talk about sold. So cost of goods is what? Is your 1 plus 2, right? After 1 plus 2, we determine how much money we spend to buy the t-shirt inventory, right? Later on, when we sold to customers. So cost of goods sold, we mean later on when we sold inventory to customers. Okay? So we talk about that. For the part, for the inventory you sold to customers. So it means inventory sold. (出售的存货 Okay? So for inventory we sold to customers, don't forget, cost of goods sold is our first expense. But the first expense, cost of goods sold, we only talk about inventory. So cost of goods sold, we only talk about the expenses incurred because of inventory.因为存货产生的费用 only about inventory, only because of inventory that made your expenses incurred. So only about inventory that made your expenses incurred. So we don't talk about others like utilities. We don't talk about salaries and wages expenses. We don't talk about other reasons. Only focus on inventory. Because of inventory, our expenses incurred. We call it cost of goods sold. Okay? So how to get that? How to determine our cost of goods sold, 销货成本, our expenses incurred because of your inventory. Okay? So for example, let's go back to our case. Before I spent $50 to buy 10 t-shirts, right? And in order to get the 10 t-shirts, I pay shipping fee $6. I pay the tax $4. So totally, I spend $60 to buy 10 t-shirts, right? These $60 to buy 10 t-shirts are what? Are our inventories. So since you got the inventory at your house company finally, what's the next? We are going to sell it, right? Because we try to sell the inventory to customers. So for the 10 t-shirts, you find out you just sold 7 t-shirts to customers. 3 t-shirts still in your company, okay? So based on this, 10 t-shirts, you sold 7 to customers, still have 3 in your company. Could you tell me? That 7 t-shirts you sold, what's that? That 3 t-shirts still in your company, what's that? Remember, inventory unsold still in your company. So what does it mean? Still your inventory in your company, right? Nothing changed. I have an inventory t-shirt in company. So after whole year, still in your company. So of course, still is your inventory. So how about inventory sold? Did you find out? We talk about the inventory you sold. So what's that? Your cost of goods sold. Okay? So let's look at this. If you sold 7 t-shirts, what's the effect for your company? I sold 7 t-shirts, right? So means what? Do you have that 7 t-shirts in your company? No more, because what? You gave it to customers, right? So means your t-shirts, 7 t-shirts, your inventory, 7 units decrease. Why is that? Because you gave it to customers. Okay? So what's your first effect? When you sold to customers, then your first effect, of course, your t-shirt decreased because you gave it to customers. What's the second effect? Chapter 3, we talk about that. Chapter 3. Asset decrease. At the same time, what increase? Expenses, right? If you remember, asset decrease. Assets decrease means your expenses increase. Why? Asset decrease, no future economic benefit. No future economic benefit, then that's your expense, right? Because expense, no future economic benefit. So asset decrease means no future economic benefit. We talk about that in chapter 3, actually. So no future economic benefit, then that's your what? Expense. Okay? So second effect is what? Expenses increase happen. Why? Because no future economic benefit. Okay? And this expense about inventory sold. So which name we use? Cost of goods sold. So about inventory sold, about your inventory sold. So this name about expenses, we call it cost of goods sold. 销货成本. So which name we use? Cost of goods sold. 销货成本. Okay, any questions? If you forgot the relationship, you can go back to chapter 3. We talk about expenses and assets, the relationship in which page? Here, page 68. We talk about the relationship between asset and expense. So if you forgot, it's okay. Go back to your page, your chapter 3, slide page 68. Okay? So that's how we defined cost of goods sold. So what does it mean, cost of goods sold? Our inventory at the beginning, but right now when we sold to customers, then we don't have future economic benefit anymore. So they become our expense. So this kind of expense related to inventory, we give it another name. We call it cost of goods sold. Okay? So cost of goods, inventory, sold, the part we sold. Okay? Others still in your company. What's that? Inventory. So I still have 3 t-shirts in my company. I'm going to sell it to customers in the future. Any questions? Based on this, we just try to get amount. So far, I know 7 units. I know 3 units. 7 units, 3 units. How much? Don't forget. We spent $60 to buy 10 t-shirts, right? So each one spend you how much? $6. So I spent $6 to buy 1 t-shirt. So that's your cost of inventory for 1 unit. So 1 unit, I spent $6 to buy it, right? So that's how we find out the amount for each one. How? Times 6. So $6 for each one. So for your 7 units, how? Times $6 for each one. I know the amount should be 42. Any questions? So that's how we get the amount for your cost of goods sold. So $42 is my cost of goods sold, my expense. Okay? Just give me 2 minutes. Then I'll let you go. Okay? Let you go after you finish some practice. Of course, I give it time to practice it. Any questions so far? It's quite important to understand the relationship, because if you don't understand the relationship, it's quite hard to, to get more difficult situations. So after I got the numbers, then where you could find out the number, I know my inventory decreased 7 units. Inventory decrease is my expenses. For your inventory, we call it cost of goods sold. How much? 7 units, each one $6. That's how we got 42, right? It's your 7 units times each one $6. Okay? So where we could find out the information on our financial statement? Remember, expenses. We will find out expenses on first financial statement, right? You will find out inventory on your balance sheet. So we still have 3 inventory unsold. You will find out the information on balance sheet, right? Because balance sheet told you assets. Then I will say for assets, I still have an inventory, $18. Why is $18? 3 units, right? Because it's 3 units. Each one spend me $6. How about inventory sold? Is my cost of goods sold, right? Cost of goods sold is my expense. So which financial statement you will find out your expense? statement of comprehensive income, your first one, right? So what's that? Sales revenue. Because I want to earn the revenues from customers. So could you tell me each one, what's the selling price? $20, right? Because we sold 7 units. So we sold 7 units. Totally, I earned the sales revenue here. How much? 7 units you sold, right? Times what? The selling price for each. So it should be what? 7 units times each one selling price 20. This is how we got $140. In order to earn the revenue from customers, nothing for free. So first expense is what? Cost of goods sold. Because you get your 7 t-shirts to customers. So that's your expense. So I got cost of goods sold, my first expense for your inventory only. So this is your first expense. Only for inventory. Okay? Sales revenue minus first expense, cost of goods sold, we got what? Gross profit. 毛利小五郎。毛利. So what does it mean? The profit you will get from inventory. So only think about inventory. The profit you can get. Gross profit, 毛利. So what does it mean? $98 means the profit you can get only because of inventory. Only consider inventory. Okay, so we don't consider other reasons. Only focus on inventory. The inventory could help you to make the profit $98. So that's gross profit. Any questions? So we finish 2 new terms. You should learn from chapter 5, cost of goods sold, gross profit. Okay? No problem? Okay. So give me 30 seconds. So inventory for the part you sold, remember, that's your cost of goods sold, right? Inventory still in your company, that's your inventory. So, and where you can find out your cost of goods sold? Cost of goods sold is your expense. So you will find out on your statement of comprehensive income. Inventory still unsold. They are still your inventory assets. So you will find out on your balance sheet. Okay? If you understand the relationship right here, then that's the purpose for today. And gross profit is my sales revenue minus first expense, cost of goods sold. You got what? Gross profit. So what we could tell you? The profit from inventory. Inventory will bring you some profit. We call it gross profit. Okay? But it's not the final profit we have. Why is that? Don't forget. What's your final profit? Net income. You should consider minus your second expense, right? So net income is your final result. So that's your final profit. After what? You use gross profit minus your second expense, right? Operating expenses. Then we can get our final profit, net income. Okay? No problem? Okay, good. Based on this, one practice, then you can go home. No problem? Right here. Finish that, you can go home. Today, your company purchased 10 bicycles, each one 1,200. Then later on, you sold 8. 2,000 is your selling price, okay? So this is selling price. So what does it mean? You purchased 10, sold 8. Purchased 10, sold 8. And 1,200 is what? Is your cost of inventory. So it is your 1 plus 2. But nothing for free. Not only that, you still have something happened. So what's that? Your operating expenses. You have other expenses incurred. So that's what? That's your operating expenses. Okay? Based on this, finish all the question mark. You can go home. In case you forgot, sales revenue minus first expense, cost of goods sold, you got gross profit. Minus operating expenses, you got net income. So give me the numbers. You can go home. It's the total amount. So for example, total sales revenue is what? You sold a unit, right? Each one selling price $2,000. For example, okay, you sold cost of goods sold. How much? A unit you sold, right? And you still have how many units? 2 units left, right? Others, please help yourself.